Now, joining us now is the Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Honorable Alhassan Suhuyini. He was part of the delegation that accompanied the Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Kando, during the visit to Tamale Teaching Hospital, a visit that preceded the dismissal of the hospital's chief executive officer over allegations of mismanagement and negligence. Thank you very much, Honorable, for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me to Frema. Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers.
Now, take us back to that visit to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. What exactly did you and your colleagues observe on the ground that raised such strong concern?
Well, thank you very much. The minister was simply responding to calls by community members. The larger society had gone on social media to demand that the government get to fixing the Tamale Teaching Hospital. And so if you go on social media and you search fix TTH, you will find out that it is in the trend. And it was because a couple of days ago, a gentleman by name Salim, about 31 years old, unfortunately passed at the hospital after he was referred to the hospital from a private facility. Now, friends and family of Salim believe that his life was lost due to negligence. And that, culminated in the social media campaign to get the hospital fixed, especially because members of the society believe that it is not an isolated incident. And so during the Easter holidays, because this was beginning to become a groundswell, the minister decided to pay a surprise visit to the facility yesterday. Fortunately, I was in town, and when he called on me, I decided to accompany him to the hospital. We arrived there. He called the regional director of health to accompany him. On our way, he called the CEO, so it was not really a surprise, but you live, Tamale, 5 minutes drive to the hospital. So on our way, he called the CEO and informed him that we're coming to the place. So by the time we got there, the CEO was outside and received us and, tried to usher him to his office. But he said, no, I want to tour the facility first before we can have a conversation. I just want to see things for myself. And so we began the tour. Now, people are confusing a number of things. Okay. The CEO is different from the head of department, who at one point was seen in a heated argument with the minister and myself. The gentleman who was seen in a heated argument between myself and the minister is not the CEO of the hospital. Okay. And that gentleman in that video has not been sanctioned whatsoever. He has not been chastised by anybody since yesterday. He's not been, asked to appear before any disciplinary committee.
So he is still at post?
Yes, because we do not think that he did anything wrong.
Okay.
We do not think that his decision to disagree with our caution amount to, an indisciplinary conduct that requires disciplinary measures. But the CEO is responsible for the management of the overall hospital. And after the minister's tour, he thought that the deterioration of the hospital and the inability of the hospital to take care of certain, basic needs of the hospital required urgent dismissal of the CEO. And I say urgent because the decision to replace CEOs, we all know, have been ongoing. Since the inception of this government, all new CEOs have taken over from CEOs that were appointed by previous government. So it was always bound to happen that perhaps at some point this CEO was going to go. But if after the tour, the minister decided to fast-track the decision of getting the CEO out, I think it is well within his rights to do so. But it had nothing whatsoever to do with the altercation that happened between the head of department of the hospital, a gentleman I'm told is called Dr. Valentine, and a gentleman I'm told is very hardworking and makes a lot of sacrifices for the hospital. Now, what was the argument about? In his very eloquent narration of the challenges that they face in the hospital, especially at the emergency unit, he unfortunately, and this is a personal view, said that he did not understand why this matter referred to here, the death of the 31-year-old, is being blown out of proportion. And I quote, "I do not understand why this matter is even blown out of proportion," unquote. And that is when I stepped in to caution that, look, gentlemen, you have so far done very well with your presentation, but this statement you just made is not appropriate. And so please do not repeat it again, because it can seem offensive to people who are related to the person who has just lost their life. He insisted that I was misunderstanding him. And if you watch the videos carefully, you realize that the minister, asked me to let go so that we will leave. His CEO asked him to stop talking, and we started walking away, but he kept insisting that, look, I do not understand why this thing is being blown out of proportion. Then the minister turned back and returned to him to say that, look, gentlemen, we have told you to stop talking. Your CEO says stop talking about this matter. You are still going on. This gives me the impression that if you would talk to us, your superiors, like this, then I fear for the ordinary person who will challenge you here. And then we walked away. And we have not chastised him after that. He hasn't been disciplined, because I do not think that that argument amounts to any indisciplinary act.
Right.
And so I was baffled when I saw a statement from the GMA asking us to apologize to the gentleman. And I'm here wondering, what are we going to apologize for? For arguing with a doctor?
Well, I think now the clarification is pretty clear, but let's look at the CEO himself. Beyond the issue of leadership, did you also observe any systemic problems, i.e. inadequate resources or staffing challenges, broken down hospital equipment, and all that really indicated a deeper structural failures within the facility?
Absolutely. I mean, the challenges there are myriad. They are varied. They are in different forms. So there are those that, in my view, will require management of the hospital to fix. And there are those that will require central government to fix. So at a management meeting after the tour, it was established, for example, that government will have to rededicate a line to provide power, uninterrupted power to the hospital. Because that used to be the case, but over the period, the neighboring communities have now been hooked on that dedicated line, leading to trips on their line, which affects their, very sensitive equipment. So it was agreed that government will have to work on that. So the minister even began conversations with his colleague Minister of Energy to see how that can be done for the hospital. Again, the issue of the erratic water supply was discussed, and the minister again, in the presence of even management, reached out to his colleague in charge of works and housing to see how they could make water supply regular to the hospital until the overall water situation in Tamale is resolved. Again, I know that since yesterday, the minister has been working on a number of ventilators, because in the HOD's, presentation of the incident that led to the death of the young man, he said that they did not have ventilators at the time that he arrived at the emergency ward. But we had been to the ICU. The ICU did not have a free bed, but the ICU had a mobile ventilator. So the minister asked him why they did not request for the mobile ventilator to at least keep the gentleman until such a time that they will have an ICU bed.
Right.
And he also agreed with the minister that that could have been a solution. But by the time they requested for it, the gentleman, in their terms, had expired. So they couldn't do anything about it. So clearly, some of the structural problems that can be handled by government, the minister took it up. Those that should have been handled at the managerial level, the minister is hoping that the new management of the hospital will take that up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Alhassan Suhuyini.
I'm very grateful, Frema. Thank you, too.